Okay, so down in the workshop again today. If you remember yesterday, I hand ground this little beast here. Now this is, I think I said yesterday, it's sort of the second to last prototype. It's working really well. The problem with this is, I shall show you. It's too narrow. Like if you look at this here, the bearing, you know, the hole through the center of this is exactly ½ an inch. But you know, I'm going to have to put a button on that's around about maybe 3/4 of an inch, something like that. So what I'm going to do is, or what should I say, what I've done is I had this cut yesterday. It's a lot fatter, as you can see. Now it does look fatter because it's not been ground yet. Once I grind it and put the angles on, it'll look not as wide as it does. It's got to be this wide for accepting, you know, what's most likely going to be around about a 16mm button. So that's about, what's that? I think that is 3/4 of an inch or 2/3 of an inch or whatever it is. No, wait. Yeah, 2/3 of an inch. So there's a chance I can make it a millimeter, no, sort of 2mm narrower than it is now. But I'm just going to see how it goes. So I'm going to grind this, and yeah, I'm going to grind this. Right, bunch of grinding just done, and let's get the light. Right, I've just done the flats, the corners of the flats, so you should be able to see that there. So I've done that, and that, and that, and that. Now what I need to do now is go around the outside, and then I need to do the sort of the grooves, try and get this focused for you, try and get the grooves in here. You see in here that sort of, so they're nice and rounded. I'll show you on the other one. Right there. Hopefully you can see that. I need to make this nice and smooth up on the corners. I don't think I'm explaining it very well to you, but you'll see as we progress. Right, so just on about an hour's worth of grinding. Not so much on this big wheel here, but on this here. This is called a Trizact belt, Trizact. It's like a 3M branded product. It's an unbelievably good belt. And what that does is, or what that's done is made this really angular. So if you take a look at this, you should see it pretty well. There we go, look at that. Now that is brighter and the corners are sharper than it's actually going to be sort of in real life or ultimately. I mean, I think what I'm going to do now is put it in the tumbler because that's more realistic. That's what I'm going to be doing with the final version anyway. You know, like I don't like machine marks on things. It's not, I can appreciate machine marks on products. It's just not my thing though when I produce something. So I think I'll put this in the tumbler just now actually. Right, so I have had a bit of a play around with it. Very, very exciting. So what I'm going to do now is tumble it. I tumble things in this centrifugal barrel tumbler here. It spins at, I don't know, 100-200 RPM depending on the setting, and it pulls like up to something like 20 Gs in there. So like you know, 200 RPM doesn't sound much, but you get 20 Gs, which is a hell of a lot of force. You can do a day's work in an hour with that. So what I do is I put 2 barrels in there. First thing I need to do is get the ceramic media. I'm only going to do it in one type of media, and that's ceramic media. I'm just going to sort of, so it breaks the edges, it smooths the sort of the sharp angles on this. What would be the term? Tactility, sort of a nice feel to it, none of that sort of rawness. I mean, I do like that, it looks good, but you know, I think it looks unfinished. So gonna do that. I'm not gonna do any sort of matte finish like I usually do on my titanium products, just a simple stone wash just to, with the ceramic, just to break the edges. That's it. So let's do this. Yep, still working. Let's rethink that one. Right, so that is the barrels filled with ceramic media. Just to add some water now. That's the water in. And then we just add the spinner to it. Put the lids on and tumble. Right, that is pretty much exactly an hour in the tumbler. Now, sometimes you can kind of get lucky and whatever you've got in there is sitting on the top, so we'll see. If not, I'll have to empty it out. Nope. It looks like an hour was enough for this. Corners nice and sort of broken. That's what they say, if you know, to sort of break the corner, break the edge. You know, instead of a perfect right angle that's going to be, you know, sharp. When you tumble, you break the edge. Feels good, feels nice. Gonna put in a bearing in it back at the house and test it. Okay, so let's talk spinner. It is now early evening. I have been playing on and off with this latest prototype throughout the day. Not as much as I'd like to have, because, sort of as a side note, I plan to launch my latest Kickstarter project, which will be my, I think, 12th or 13th Kickstarter project, in 2 days time from now. That's the plan anyway. It's a titanium click pen, been working on it for a while, been requested. It's been requested by a lot of people over the last year or two, so finally getting that done. Right, let's talk about this spinner. There was something funny with it. Like I think I showed it to you earlier. I can't remember. Maybe I didn't. But there was something strange about it. I was looking at it and I couldn't quite figure it out. There was something sort of unsettling about it, and I couldn't figure it out. And I eventually got it, and I'll have to show you now. You wouldn't have seen what it was like before, but hopefully I can zoom in enough so you can see it. The problem I was having was I didn't have a bevel along here. This was just flat. So you see this bit here? You see this tiny line here? There's no bevel on it. Well, basically that, and the underside there, that's what that looked like. And it just looked weird, you know, like it just looked strange, like unfinished, but I couldn't figure it out. So I finally did it, and it's got something now, you know. It's finally like, there we go. It's more like, it's got a more cohesive look. I'm not sure why that makes a difference, but it makes a difference. It's just the way designs are, just the way our brains work, and how we, I don't know, assimilate shapes or something. I don't know, but that little detail sort of made all the difference. There's a few things with this, like it's close. This is like 95% there. It really is. In fact, I've not even shown it to you properly yet. So again, there's no work being done on the button. This is just purely this thing. It's just purely the body I'm working on. I know exactly how I'm going to do the button. It's just something I'm not working on right now. So you'll notice this bit here is fairly smooth, you know, these on each side, and it looks a bit sort of unfinished, and it kind of, that smoothness kind of clashes a bit with these angles. But I think that shouldn't be an issue. I will be able to do that. I'll be able to do this curved bit in the CNC machining process in such a way that it will tie in with the other sort of angled surfaces. Now I have to make a point here that all these angles and things, I didn't set out to go, oh, you know, I want it angular. You know, if you followed the last sort of 1 to 2 weeks of videos, you will know, I mean, I'm sort of I'm preaching to the converted here. You will know I am going for functionality here. It just so happens that the particular route I've taken for functionality, it's just, these angles have just worked so well. It's just what it needs, you know. I mean, like I've mentioned before, I want to be able to spin, you know, with my middle finger like that. I want to be able to flick it forward. If you look at that, so I can spin that way, up and down, but I can also flick it forward with my finger. Now I don't know if many spinners can actually do that. That's something I wanted. This peak up here, if you look at that, get this to focus. So this peak up here, right here, that is for, you know, that's so you can catch it with your finger. Like, it seems, you know, it takes a little bit of practice. You have to sort of keep sort of rinsing and repeating, but you can pretty much get it almost every time. I think with a bit of practice, I will be able to get it every time, and therefore other people will be able to get it every time. And it's that repeatability is important. I really think it's important. This peak here, this let's get this focus again. This little sort of peak there, the way this angles up, I think these faces that are angled here, they will be a bit more aggressive on the final one, I think. But this little peak that comes up there, you should be able to see like that. Oh, turn it around. That, it really helps in catching it with your hand when you flick it and you want to catch it again. So I want to be able to flick it from the face. So when I flick it and catch it again, you can see it sort of, you can see how I can keep catching it at the same place pretty much every time. Like I said, a little bit more practice and I'll be able to get that. I'm not sure of the thickness, the overall thickness. This is 8 millimeters, which, you know, I want to try and perhaps reduce that a little bit. The width, I'm not sure. The width, by the way, from here to here, the width is 22 millimeters. Ideally, 22 millimeters is just short of an inch, you know, maybe just over 3/4 of an inch or whatever it is. I'm not very good at conversions. 22 millimeters. I might be able to reduce it down to 20. That would be the ideal thing, I think. Just now, if I'm honest, I think it's a little bit too heavy. I want to lighten it a little bit. Not much, maybe like 20%, something like that, and I think it'll make the difference. A lot of weight will be coming away from the center because let's try to get this focused. Like, I've just popped the bearing through right there. Like, what will ultimately happen is the button will be, you know, almost out to the edge. The button diameter will be somewhere between 15 and 17 millimeters, I think, from sort of there all the way down almost to here, up and round. And I think I can then sort of scoop away, machine away a bit of material in there and in there. So what will happen is, you know, the material on the body will get taken away, but it'll be sort of replaced by the button. The button will be sort of sunken in a bit. I think that will look awesome because most people seem to do buttons on top. I'm not sure why, maybe it's easier, but a somewhat countersunk button is going to look damn good. It is for sure. That's going to be a big part of this design. It was always a big part from the very beginning. I just don't think I mentioned it. What else? So that will sort of decrease the weight. So I think around about 20% decrease in weight is easily achievable. A little bit narrower. The curves, you know, perhaps a little bit more aggressive, and that will allow me to tumble it a little bit more aggressively in the final tumble. The color of this sort of darkish grey, that's not going to be the final finish. The final finish will be a lighter grey, almost certainly, because this is just a stonewash finish, basic ceramic media, nothing else. It's not a finish I offer. I offer on my products a smoother, more matte finish, and I think that's it. It's really fidgetable, or, you know, whatever you call it. Fidgetable? I like that, fidgetable. It really is. You know, you can sort of really, I don't know if you can see that, but it's, I know for sure on spinners that have 3 prongs, the ones I've tried and the ones I've seen, they, oh well, truthfully I've only tried one, but I've looked at a lot online. They don't seem to be as functional as the sort of the bi-spinner, the 2 prongs. So the tri-spinner, not as functional as the bi-spinner. I'm not sure why. Could be talking rubbish, but it just seems that there's too much stuff in there. You need this big area to be able to sort of just get your fingers in, you know, just and sort of get in there, start it, stop it. You know, it's really fascinating. There's so much more to spinners than you realise. It's sort of like a rabbit hole. You go down and down and down. You know, like I've not done the button yet. I mean, I've got the design in my head. I know exactly what it's going to be like, but I've not even looked at bearings or anything like that. I've just sort of read about them a bit, and, you know, I've got a couple of spinners, and I've ordered some bearings and tested and tried them, and, you know, this bearing in here is a great bearing. It's completely silent. I mean, I don't know if you can hear that. Probably can't. It just does nothing, which is awesome. In saying that, I've had a bearing where there's been a bit of noise with it. There's been a sort of rumble to it, and, you know, I kind of like the rumble. It wasn't too bad. You instead of, like, because when you spin this, it's so smooth. It's like if you don't look at it, you can just vaguely know it's spinning unless you look at it. But when you feel it sort of vibrating through your hands, there's something kind of nice about that as well. I think that's all I've got for you today. Like I said, I really haven't done enough testing on it yet. I'm gonna just think about it, play with it tonight, tomorrow, you know, see what happens. I'm not really in a mad rush. Like I said, I'm hoping to launch this titanium click pen in the next 48 hours well, 48 hours from now as I'm recording this. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a ton of work to launch a project, so there's a chance I just sort of sit and play with this for a couple of days and just sort of see where my thoughts are with it. But it's very close. It's 95% there, and I will be doing the 3D design soon on Solid Edge and pretty much handing over to my machinist to sort of kind of take it from there. Right, I have rambled on enough. If you've got any feedback, I would love to hear it. Like if you think the angle design looks hideous and awful, tell me. I mean, I'm probably still going to make it anyway. If you think a smoother design is better, I'd like to hear that. I mean, I might consider it maybe for the next one, I don't know, but I'm kind of curious if I've missed anything or if I'm missing anything. So if you know about spinners, definitely comment. This project is just me kind of going with what I feel and what I want. Like I'm just spinning and spinning. I'm like, oh, I've tried this spinner, I've tried that spinner, prototype after prototype. I must be up to like 20, 30, 40 prototypes by now, and it's, I'm just making what feels like the ultimate spinner for me, out of titanium, of course. So I'm pretty open to other ideas. Right, definitely that's enough for me. I will leave you with a quote. It is by Harvey S. Firestone, and he said, "Success is the sum of details."